Wednesday, as Ghost would say, Fajita Friday edition here of the NBA DFS Pre-Lock Show. My name is Jon Jansen. Follow me at jjansen34. And joined today, no, that is not Ghost. I know they look similar, have glasses on, a hat on, but Ghost wears his hat backwards. Adam wears it forward. So a little bit different, but that is Adam at Buckend for Life on Twitter. And this is all sponsored by the Sharp app. Sharp.link is where you can go to check out all of the plays over on the Sharp app. So if you want some NBA plays for tonight, that can all be found on the Sharp app. And I know Adam posts some picks too from time to time as well there over in the Sharp app. So
I do indeed.
Awesome. Yeah, so definitely go check those out, and you can download the Sharp app. Just go to sharp.link, and that'll take you to all the ways you can download it, Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. Welcome in today, NBA DFS Pre-Lock live stream. So as you can see here, we're going to a 9-game slate. There's a 9-game slate today, but Adam, you're telling me there's about 4 or 5 games that you said we're going to. I'll go with this first. What games are we eliminating and why?
So I think right off the bat, for me, the OKC-Milwaukee game is probably mostly out, almost 100%. Milwaukee's getting healthier. It's the largest spread on the slate. You know, a guy like Giannis, like I kind of want to pick on the Oklahoma City interior, but he's so expensive. And if he gets 30 minutes instead of 36, he probably doesn't pay off that price.
We're worried about the blowout, right? Yeah.
Right. So that one's kind of an easy one to throw out. The Boston Lakers game, I'm kind of somewhat on the fence about it because we're not sure if LeBron is back. If LeBron would play, it's kind of easier to get away from that. If he doesn't, you know, guys like Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, Taylor Horton Tucker, they'll still carry some appeal. And then the Indiana-Charlotte game, I'm perfectly fine having a one-off or something from there. I don't want to, you know, throw it completely out.
Right.
But generally,
there's still
Charlotte
LaMelo Ball
year,
on there, Domantas Sabonis.
Right. Against that putrid Charlotte interior. So if you find yourself playing like one player from there, maybe two with the absolute tops, I'm not going to argue with you. But generally, like Charlotte games are stackable. For me, it's just not the mood tonight because we've had so much news during the day. And the slate is so chalky that it's a slate where you just have to buckle down and eat a good chunk of the chalk because they're just too good at plays. They're flat out too good at plays. You just have to deal with it, and you have to figure out a way to get different here and there.
So let's go to the games that we are going to play, and we'll go through the chalk as we go through these games. So what's the Golden State Warriors, Detroit? What are we looking at here? Obviously, boom, Steph Curry won't play against the Pistons. So obviously, I have a feeling this is where we're going to find at least some of our chalk.
Yeah, I mean, right off the hop, you're without Curry. You're without Draymond. You know, obviously Clay hasn't played at all this year, so that doesn't necessarily count. But you're still down Clay. Andre Iguodala is out. Otto Porter is out. So we don't have a starting lineup yet, but it's going to be Wiggins, Poole, and then some sort of mix of like Gary Payton, Kevon Looney will start. I would assume Bjelica starts. And right now, Bjelica's the leading, highest owned play on the slate along with Patrick Mills, which we'll get to. Now, I'm totally fine playing Bjelica. Like he's a strong play. He'll probably draw the start. And they're so shorthanded at the forward position tonight. He almost has to play 25 minutes. Like I would be absolutely stunned if it's under that. But a guy like Jonathan Kuminga, who Ghost pointed out last night, didn't exactly work out. And we knew like that it was an extremely risky play last night. It was outlined perfectly. You had to understand what the risk you were taking. This is probably a spot where it's almost guaranteed that he's got to see some minutes too. Because it's literally Wiggins, Poole, and then just the absolute bench mob because they don't have anybody else active in this game.
So does that mean we're going with Bjelica or maybe we're going to Kuminga here?
So I think the way to approach this game, the way I've been building my lineups is I want at least 2 Warriors.
Okay.
One of them is generally going to be Jordan Poole. Without Curry on the floor, he's got a 30% usage rate. He's going to take the majority of the shots along with Wiggins. And then I want one of the bench guys. I want a Gary Payton. I want a Kuminga or I want a Bjelica. I'll probably just mix and match, to be honest.
Okay.
I'll put in
Bielika. I know you were talked about him very well, so I'll put him in there for the sake of the of what you said.
Right,
earlier.
and this is where I'm saying, so like Bielika is, one of the highest owned plays in the slate. You can scroll down to Kuminga. Nobody's playing him again because they don't have a reason to, because he didn't do anything last night.
Right.
So nobody's going right back to him. So that's one of the ways that you can still get different within a chalky game and find, like, you can play all the other chalk you want on the slate. Because if you play Kuminga under 1% again and he beats Bielika in DK score,
and there's a possibility.
You're already like halfway
right?
set. There's definitely a possibility there.
Okay.
There's absolutely
I'll just say this. There's a reason why he's $200 more than even Bielika. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm not saying that he's better, but it's just that, Kuminga seems like the more in line to get what the minutes that we're looking at. But it's just that he was so disappointing in his last game that everybody's just going, 7 minutes? Nah, he's not. He's not going to be.
Like Juan Toscano-Anderson is 23% owned. I would, at that point, I'm going to play Kuminga almost every time and just hope the minutes are about equal.
Right.
Because they're on the last game of the road trip. They might give their veteran guys a little bit more rest. They've already rolled out half their team anyway. So guys like Wiggins and Poole, maybe they don't play that many more minutes than they're accustomed to.
Well, does it also mean we can maybe pivot to the other side of things here with Detroit? Because Golden State is without Curry and Green. Curry, I think, has been playing better defense, so I would say he's part of their defensive renaissance this season. But wouldn't this mean that it defense. Kind of wouldn't this mean right? Green, it means more. Wouldn't this mean this kind of opens things up for maybe Cade Cunningham to have a huge day?
So it definitely does. And if you decide to play Cade Cunningham, again, won't argue with you. The problem for me comes from, where am I finding the guard spot to put him in? Because I want Poole or I want a Gary Payton or somebody from that Golden State lineup.
Right.
I also want somebody from the Brooklyn Nets lineup because they're without Kevin Durant. I also want one or two of the guards from the Dallas lineup because they're without Luka Doncic. Cade Cunningham, in and of himself, the line went, I think it was about 8.5 point spread. It went down to 1. So it tells you how much closer Vegas thinks this game is going to be. And if it's more competitive, Cade Cunningham's going to be at the center of that competitive game.
Would Sadiq Bey be a better pivot even away from Cunningham? Because he said you don't want to go, fill those guard spots with just Cunningham.
I'd probably rather just play Jeremy Grant at that point.
Nice.
They're not that far apart in price. Grant's
nice.
only 6,900, and him and Cunningham have the usage leads on the Pistons right now. And again, with no Green, that kind of makes Grant a little bit more appealing as well. So if you have a forward spot there and that's where you want to go, that'd be understandable.
All right, I'll put him in just for sake of that. All right, so you mentioned Brooklyn. Let's go to that one. Orlando, Brooklyn. Kevin Durant is out. Now, when it comes to top guy, does that mean James Harden, even at 11.2K, is this the top guy that we're going after today?
He is, to an extent. I mean, he is the chalkiest kind of like most expensive guy.
Right.
And it's understandable, right? Because Durant comes off the floor. His usage rate is over 30%. It's 1.5 fantasy point per minute.
Right. And still no Kyrie. It is all Kyrie, James Harden. Yeah.
Listen, I can't sit here and tell you James Harden is a bad play with no Kevin Durant. That's not what I'm going to do. So don't hear what I'm not saying. By all means, play James Harden. But there's an elite pivot that's in a late game that is currently being rostered. Let's see. So he's only rostered.
So James Harden,
10%.
I would say James Harden cash games put him in. No,
yes. James Harden is cash game lock. You don't think about it. You pretty much start your build with James Harden.
Yep.
And then start building some of these value guys around him. Your Patrick Mills, your Bruce Browns, Jordan Poole, Bielitsa. Those are your cash game locks. Cash is pretty simple to build. You just go right there. You don't argue. There's no real question about it. But in GPPs, if you don't play Harden and you play Mills and you play Brown, and you hope that Brown and Mills have their ceiling game,
yep,
and Harden pops out at like 50, 55 DK. Again, not a horrible play, but he's not. You hope he doesn't break the slate. You can play Nikola Jokic at 10% ownership later.
Wow, really?
Who is sitting who is sitting at 2 fantasy points per minute in their current situation because they're still without Michael Porter. They're still without Jamal Murray.
The Bulls are without Vooch.
Right.
Oh, man.
Dude, Jokic is going to have Tony Bradley to defend him tonight. Now, this comes with
Tony Bradley? Former Sixers great Tony Bradley? Oh, God.
So this comes with a huge caveat. Jokic is questionable.
Yeah.
He supposedly banged up his wrist last night. There's a chance he doesn't play. If you play Nikola Jokic, his game starts at 9. You must, and I repeat, must, backload your lineup, and you have to be heavier on the Kings game and the Dallas game. Because if Jokic gets ruled out after lock and you can't get access to Harden now because Harden starts early, you have to have a plan on where to go in that bottom 4 spots in your lineup. Nobody's taking that chance because he's questionable. Everyone sees Harden, everyone goes to Harden.
And nobody wants to stay out until 9 o'clock to
exactly.
To change
nobody wants to deal with it. Harden starts early, he's gone, you're ready to go. So if you play Jokic, you have to have guys like Kristaps Porzingis. You have to have guys like DeAndre Ayton, Siakam, guys from the Sacramento-Toronto game, Fred VanVleet. You have to have exposure there because you need a plan of action in case Jokic gets ruled out. In GPPs, if everything was being equal, Jokic is a better play than James Harden.
Yep.
He's a lower ownership. He's actually in better shape. No offense, Harden's in better shape than I am, but I'm not a pro NBA player.
So I'll ask this then, because I agree with you. If there was no questionable tag on Nikola Jokic, jeez, wow, what a bunch of word salad that was.
Would be much more even.
Okay, so
I think so.
I guess what is it worth the risk? Like Jokic is that good of a play, it's worth the risk of not going with the safer. Because I feel like what it's coming down to here is because his ownership is lower, because of that questionable tag, you're playing a risk of he doesn't play, but if you get the reward, you could potentially end up, being a step ahead in this slate.
Right. He could be the highest scoring player on the slate. Right. I mean, legitimately
let's be honest.
Night,
he is probably in line to be the highest scoring player in this slate, even over
if he
James
plays.
Harden.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
If he had a 45 DK point first half last night, like that is his upside is 45 draft points and a half, and Harden has that too, man. I'm not going to say Harden. doesn't.
Yeah.
But let's face it.
Let's be honest. Like Brooklyn's also been struggling though. Like I'm not even going to pretend that Brooklyn's going to be great.
Exactly. Harden has not looked like the vintage James Harden
in
a little while. He had the hamstring injury at the end of last year. Some people were saying still bugging him this year, and it honestly kind of looks like it. He doesn't look he's fully in basketball shape yet.
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised if Jokic outscores Harden.
Yeah. I mean, I actually would say if I had to put odds on it.
I think it's more probable than anything.
Right, I was about to say, I know Orlando's not a great team or anything, but, I mean, Tony Bradley is guarding Nikola Jokic. Like, Tony Bradley.
Not gonna end well, man.
Yeah, exactly. So if I had to put a favorite on it, I would say that Jokic would be the favorite to lead the slate in scoring. He would be the odds-on favorite.
I completely agree, and his ownership does not reflect that because of the scenario.
The Q. Yeah, that little Q on the side of his name. That's it. Man, it might be worth it. So we got a question here. Sabonis. What do you think about? We talked a little bit about Indiana and Charlotte about not being our favorite game, but you did say you would, like the individual plays of Ball or at least Sabonis.
Right. He's one of the guys, if that's your one-off from that game, totally cool with either him. I mean, I kind of want to say Miles Turner, but my center spots are getting eaten up here in a hurry because I want to play Ayton and I want to play Jokic. So Turner's kind of left out in the cold. It's a little bit easier just to get to Sabonis. He's top 5 in paint points and paint touches, and Charlotte just gets utterly wrecked. The only thing with Sabonis is, we see his price tag at 8,900, and that's kind of rare for him. But you look, and his assist rate's really down this year. It dropped by about 12%. So that does take some of the ceiling that we were accustomed to last year away from him. But again, Charlotte, man, he doesn't need to pass the ball a lot. I want him in the paint, and I want him dominating in the paint, pouring in 30 points.
So there is a couple more games left. So let's say we're in the scenario of, we have Jokic, we're going with this lineup, then we get last minute, Jokic out. So where are we going? So let's play these last two games as if we have to create a lineup. Of course, once that happens, you're kind of SOL, but still you got to try. And so what would the plays be? Let's start with Toronto and Sacramento.
So I wouldn't even say you're SOL, because if you just go from center down, you use center, guard, forward, utility positions, you can put guys like Porzingis and DeAndre Ayton in, because whether Jokic plays or not, I love those guys. I mean, Porzingis only had his salary rise $400. They're still without Luka. He's still going to be one of the primary scorers on this slate, or on that team, excuse me. And yeah, he has some regression coming in his shooting, but it also kind of started on this last game. He only went 7 for 20. It's not like he went nuclear from the field. He still flirted with almost 50 DK points.
It's just he has to shoot. Right. He has to.
Right. I mean, but if you're only going 7 for 20 from the field and you can still put up 48 DK points and you're under 8K, you're still a pretty strong play. So you can have access to these guys. And then if you want, you can put Jalen Brunson in. Now, Jalen Brunson's probably my least favorite Maverick tonight, because he's the one that did see his price increase. He flirted with the triple-double last time, so his box score looks great.
So people are going to, by the way, people are going to flock right back to him.
Right. Jalen Brunson at 6,700 is probably not super likely to have 9 rebounds and 9 assists again. So he will have a
I can't believe Jalen Brunson was a rebound and assist away from a triple-double.
Right.
And like, it just kind of, it happened, but you just look back and go, wait, that actually did happen.
Right. And he barely crossed 40 DK points. So, if those peripheral stats aren't there, he might crap out at like 32, 33 DK, which really hurts.
It's a really good chance of that happening. Really good chance.
So, for me, I have the Mavericks ranked Porzingis, Tim Hardaway Jr., and then Brunson third, just based on the salary.
Brian is putting his foot in the ground. I'm sorry, Adam. Brian is putting his foot in the ground. No KP. I'm surprised.
Me and Ghost are playing KP.
I'm surprised here. Now, behind the curtain, we use StreamYard for all of this. I'm surprised when somebody enters in, you hear a pop, like a pop, and like somebody. I'm surprised I haven't heard that yet. And Ghost coming on the stream and going, "No, we're not playing Kristaps Porzingis." I'm just waiting for that from Ghost.
I'm pretty sure Ghost is playing Kristaps Porzingis.
Oh, is he really? Wow, I think the one stream he's not on. Okay, I gotta know this from him, because he is a well-known Kristaps hater. Well-known hater.
Some of the ideas we were kicking around during the day, he had Kristaps in a lineup. I do know.
Wow,
that. I don't know.
I gotta talk.
You know what?
It's a personal phone call for this one. I'm gonna know by the time that slate starts whether or not he's playing Kristaps. But it does seem like a pretty good play for this slate.
So like, if you slot in Hardaway into your guard spot and you get the news at 8:33, hey, Jokic is out. You can take Hardaway out and you can put Ayton in the center spot, and then you can upgrade to a Fred VanVleet, who is without OG Anunoby, who is going to play 35 minutes, who is in a high-paced game against the Kings, and they can't defend primary ball handlers. I believe Ghost in the article called for a double-double chance for VanVleet with points and assists tonight, because the Kings cannot guard ball distributors at all. So if you want to take that chance on Jokic, don't think you don't have options here. You have options at the end, because the Jeremy Grant spot isn't really needed. You can bump that up to KP because you still have money left over. And then you have salary to play with here to get yourself some good exposure, because both the late games are pretty good game environments to have exposure to. But if Jokic plays,
and just so everybody is aware, this is not the actual lineup. This is like Jokic out, like pivot to these two games. Obviously, and we would even be able to get Chicago exposure there too, right? Like, I feel like once we get the Jokic news, it's not like we're going to get it, a second before lock. We should have a good few minutes to really mess with that as well. Anybody from the Chicago side, like if Jokic does get ruled out, are there pivots to Chicago and Denver?
So the only thing that scares me about if Jokic gets ruled out with Chicago is blowout, because if we know that ahead of time, that it's probably at least a 10-point spread. But I will point out DeMar DeRozan would stand out regardless, because watching that game last night, the Sixers just got towards the hoop just relentlessly. They were driving. There was not a lot of resistance.
Tyrese Maxey had little resistance.
Yeah,
absolutely little.
And DeRozan is, one of the top 15 guys in drives to the basket, pull up points off the drive. Like, it would suit his game extremely well. So even in a blowout without Vucevic, he probably still pots 25, 28 real points. And without Jokic, like, who's going to rebound the ball on Denver's side of the thing? So I still think DeRozan's a relatively strong play. And realistically, if Jokic plays, I like him even more because hopefully that game stays a little bit closer.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's a pretty good look at all of these games.
So real quick,
yep.
We just got the Warriors starting lineup.
Oh, no.
It's Gary Payton, it's Jordan Poole, it's Wiggins, it's Kevon Looney, which was all expected. Juan Toscano Anderson is starting over Bjelica. So Bjelica is going to probably fall in ownership pretty quick because everyone loves the green check mark.
Green check marks. Yes, we love the green check marks.
So
does that make the Bjelica play even stronger, though?
Yeah, honestly, I think it will because I think Bjelica has much more opportunity to shoot off the bench.
Yeah.
Like we know he can score. Toscano Anderson is just kind of like, he's just kind of there. No offense, but like he doesn't do a lot of things. And with him in the starting lineup, like Peyton, Poole, and Wiggins are going to take every shot known to man.
Dalvin? Are we talking about Dalvin? Dalvin Cook? What is this? What is this, Sia? Who's Dalvin?
What is happening? Sia already gave us a great NFL play for his Washington football team. I don't know about.
Can
Dalvin.
I have Adam's thoughts on Rashad Bateman? Is that wrong show?
I do like Bateman this week at 4,500. I'll say that.
That's good. That's good. I do like Bateman a lot, by the way. I was a huge fan of Rashad Bateman.
He's a good player, man.
Yeah.
He's a good player.
Oh, my God. To really go back, I loved watching that Minnesota team with Bateman and Tyler Johnson. They were studs. Absolute studs. Okay. So here's one lineup. And this is kind of the guys you were talking about. This one seems pretty good.
Yeah, and then like I said, you could bump if Joker gets ruled out, you can bump up THJ into Fred VanVleet. Bjelica might be a little bit, I shouldn't say less of a priority. I'm trying to think of what else you can improve on if he gets ruled out. If Joker gets ruled out, you could go up to VanVleet and then probably like DeRozan in the utility spot. I think you'd have enough to swing that.
Nice. By the way,
I do math in my head.
If we're talking trash to Sia, Brian said, remember when Sia told me I was crazy because WFT defense was overrated? Remember when I said the Cowboys are going to win the division in the offseason? Just pointing that out. I mean, it's not over yet, but, it's a little over yet. Okay, so that was
that division. It's over.
So that was one lineup. I'm not seeing any others here. Again, we answered the Sabonis question that he is certainly in play, but that would be one of the only in that game. So there you go. We went over all of the game environments we like. We went over the chalk. We went over games that we hate in this one, and even going to Nikola Jokic and the ways that we can, if he does get ruled out, kind of pivot away from that and salvage our lineups. But I'm with you here. The strategy to me is if Jokic plays, he's the top point getter on the slate by far. And I don't even think that's
lineups. I've seen some lineups in Discord, so I'll say it here too, just in case. My thought process tonight is I want a minimum of 5 Mavericks, Warriors, and Nets in my lineup.
Yep.
Right now, my main one has 6 of those.
Right,
teams.
With the injuries to the top guys, you have to. Yeah.
You just have to. Yep.
Yeah.
So those are like, it's not that some of these individual plays aren't great, but I just can't find them. I can't find the room for a lot of these guys.
Yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense. So what we're going to do here, we're going to end things, but what we can do, go to windailysports.com, go to the Academy tab, and then all the way on the right, you're going to see the Discord chat. Adam's going to be in there going over some lineups. I'm sure Ghost will be in there when he's not doing work calls. We'll be trying to get you guys lineups as well. All right, so here we go. But who's Ballsack? Do we know who that is? GP2, Derek Jones, LaMelo. That's his nickname? That's not right. He's good. I like him. Derek Jones, Sabonis, Jokic, Mills, Bielika, and then he has 4.8K left for the flex. I would just say go to the model.
Yeah, you'll need the model there, and then have that plan for if Jokic is out. The only thing I'm going to say is I can't see myself playing Derek Jones with the value we have on the slate.
Ghost grilling fajitas. The work is a cover up. The boss.
I wouldn't blame him.
See, that's not right. That is exactly what Ghost is doing, by the way. And guess what I'm about to do as soon as we finish this here? WinDailySports.com. I'm going to make myself some fajitas. So WinDailySports.com. Again, go to the Academy tab, Discord chat right there. Also, when you're at WinDailySports.com and you haven't signed up yet, you can sign up now and check out all of our membership packages. Pick out the right one for you. Maybe you want one with the optimizer. Maybe you don't want the optimizer. Go with something else. There are plenty of packages available to you to get it. And the thing is, Adam, secret between you and I recommend the optimizer. I recommend getting the model. I recommend doing it all. Gold membership on Daily Sports.
Even if you're not doing mass multi-entry stuff, the optimizer really helps with ownership.
It's so great. It gives you a nice foundation, a nice look at what a optimized lineup should be, and you can mess around with it from there. It is such a great foundation, a great starting point to get things done. But go WinDailySports.com, sign up, and you can get the optimizer as well. That is it for us. Be sure to stay tuned here in a couple of hours, 2 hours. College Football Superflex, Joel is going to go over all of his college football DFS plays. It's coming up next here at WinDailySports.com. That is Adam. Follow him at BuckN4Life. Follow me at JJansen34. We'll be back with more NBA starting next week here at WinDailySports.com.